Welcome everybody to the Coach's Clipboard Show. We try to keep you updated once a week on everything that's going on. Today I have a very special guest, a very new but good friend, Herkie Walls, the head coach of the Orlando Predators. Herkie, welcome.
Coach, it's a pleasure and an honor that I'm even speaking to the one and only, the legend, the one
Lord.
and only, the man that nobody can beat in the National Arena League. You winning championships year after year, but that's gonna stop in 2023.
Oh, shots fired. Well, good for you. I know one thing about us, Herkie, is our fans are passionate about everything that we do. And what I want to do is I want to start letting our fans truly understand not just what I think about the NAL, not just what I think about the competition that we face week to week, but hear it from the men themselves that lead those ships, if you will.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So as we get started, I just have some questions for you. If
Okay.
you don't mind. Okay. First of all, I got to know where you got the name Herkie.
Okay, I get that a lot, Coach. My birth name is Mercury Hercules Walls.
See,
So
so you're part Greek, like me, Hercules, right?
There you go. There you go.
Okay, we're brothers from
So
another mother.
we're
Okay, we
brothers
got
from another mother. I think, Coach, I'm 61. I think I got you beaten age.
You're 61?
Yes, sir.
I will be 63 in April.
Never mind. I'm sorry, sir. My apologies, sir. You're my elder. But I got the name Herkie from my cousin because that's what when I grew up, my brothers and my dad and mom my loved ones would call me Herkie. But of course, when my mom or my father was a little bit upset with me, it was the entire, hey, Mercury Hercules Walls, if you don't. So that's how I got the name Herkie. But that's a very interesting question, Coach. I get that a lot, but they call me now Coach Herc.
Well, I'm gonna call you Hercules.
That's fine.
I love that. That's actually awesome. I've got a cousin named Hercules.
Is that right?
Yeah, I do actually. So I'm thinking you're part Greek somewhere.
Somewhere.
So I guess you've been in football. You're like me. You've been in football a long time. I know
Yes,
you
sir.
had a little hiatus from the game,
Yeah.
but
Yes, sir.
never out of the game. Like we
Correct.
talked the other day, we're never out of the game, even in the off season or even if there's an interruption in life. You're always your heart's
In the game. In the
So,
game.
so tell us a little bit about your history.
Well, I'm going to start back in Pop Warner. I was always the smallest kid on the team, but I was extremely fast. So I played Pop Warner, and from there, of course, high school. We went to Garland High School. I'm a Texas boy, Coach, and we'll talk about that later on because I think we played against each other when you were Detroit and I was with the Houston Oilers. But we'll get to that later. The game, Billy Sims jumped over our DB and kicked him in the face, but that was that game.
Yep.
But Coach, I've been involved with football my entire life. University of Texas under the direction of Coach Fred Akers, getting drafted in the 7th round by the Houston Oilers. I played there 4 years under the direction of, I love him. Jerry Glanville was a wonderful coach.
Jerry's been around forever, huh?
Yeah, he's a good guy. I learned a lot from him. Played with a guy by the name of Warren Moon and Earl Campbell, and I played with some
legends.
I guess you can call them Hall of Famers.
Yeah, you can.
And then from there, Coach, I got traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's how I ended up here in Florida, in something real drastic or that changed my life. I got called into the ministry in 1990. Well, guess what happened the following year? I moved from Tampa Bay, Florida to Orlando, Florida. And I was a sales instructor at Bally's Health Club. Well, back then there was newspapers and it says Orlando Predators arena football tryouts. Well, I had retired from the league. I was like 30 at the time. I was like, well, let me give them a call. 407-648-4444. And I know the number, coach. Coach, I know the number. And then next thing you know, the legend, the great Perry Moss answered the phone. Actually, Les Moss answered the phone. I said, "Hey, sir, my name is Herkie Walls. I see an article about arena football. I would love to come out and try out." And Coach Les says, "Are you the Herkie Walls?" I said, "Well, I don't know if I'm the Herkie Walls, but I would like to come out." Well, next voice I heard was Perry Moss. And Coach, he told me to come out, and he says, "I will teach you the game called arena football." And the rest is history.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Well, you had a much more storied NFL career than I, and it's awesome that you can pass that on to your players.
Correct.
Because they're all gravitating towards they as they should, something bigger and better, but also you can give the realistic approach
Absolutely. And coach, I know you and I are in a position where we can help these young men develop into better men, but we also are realistic with them as well. I mean, Coach, you've been at the highest level. I've been at the highest level, and it's a matter of timing. Who is it a good fit for you? And some of the kids that I'm dealing with here in Orlando, a lot of them have that high aspiration. Oh, I'm gonna go to NFL. So, Coach, I don't know if I want to play in arena football. I was like, okay, well, keep living, and you're gonna find out that getting in the NFL is kind of tough. But what we do, Coach, and what I love about your passion, Coach, trust me, when I was away from the game, I was watching you, Coach. I was checking you out, and I like your approach. I like the way you deal. I like the way you deal with, especially. I was impressed with you at the coaches owners meeting just a few months back. How you pretty much was talking up for the league and the players and what's best for the players. And I was like, I like this guy. He's old school like me, and that's why, Coach, I know you and we're going to have some battles up there in Albany. I can't wait to go to Albany. That's where I want to go. Because I remember the last time I was up there in Albany back in the 90s, I had about 3 or 4 touchdowns, Coach.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're very fortunate with our fan base. We're very fortunate with the football IQ they have. But back to what you're saying about, trying to mentor these kids. I had a player I had signed, Von Taylor, defensive end. We thought he was going to be really special for us this year. And with some maneuvering and some good things happening, Von was able to move on up to the USFL. If you want to say move up, I'm never going to say a USFL and XFL is a step up from us, to be honest with you. I'm going to say it's a different football. It's back on the big field. Okay.
Right.
But he was able to go back on the big field, which is what he wanted to do. And his skill set really allowed him
to do that.
Yeah, to do that.
That's great. And Coach, for you and your connections, for how you run your program, I know your kids up there respect you. And that's why I think what you're doing, what I'm trying to do, and getting these kids to really understand, hey, we're going to try to get you to where you want to go, whether it's XFL, USFL, CFL, NFL. We're going to try to get you there. In the meantime, what we're going to teach you is that it takes a special athlete to play the game that we coach.
Yeah, 100%. The thing about it is, I tell this story to the guys every year in camp, is that when I was in Green Bay, I coached a kid by the name of BJ Hill. And BJ was about your size. But he never made it to the NFL, but he went to a couple camps. He made it through a couple preseasons. And he ended up 15, 16 years ago trying to play indoor football. And he was very successful. He's in the Hall of Fame now in the IFL. But what he did was he realized that, wait a minute, I keep chasing something that is somewhat unobtainable for himself.
Correct.
And
Correct.
so that takes a big man to have self-realization, right? And then what he did was he said, I'm going to be a lifer in indoor football. And what I'm
There
going
you
to do,
go.
I'm going to brand myself. I'm going to start my
There
own
you
team
go.
in the town I'm in. I'm going to this, I'm going to that. I don't think that guy's paid for a dinner in 15 years in Green Bay. People love him.
Right.
He's a legacy.
Sure.
Now he's since
Right.
retired and still living a great life. But think about this. You know this, I know this. The average NFL career is way less than 3 years. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And if you get an opportunity to go, you can't retire unless you're, and when we
Yeah.
were there,
Yeah.
it was nothing. I mean, I
It was
remember
nothing. Right.
my contract was $49,000 in the NFL.
Right. Right.
And,
Yep.
and
Yep.
when the
Yep.
USFL came on, they paid us way more back then, so everyone
Right.
jumped to the USFL. Not unlike what's going on now with
Oh,
these
sure. Sure.
leagues.
Totally different.
But he went ahead and he created a niche for himself. And
Mm-hmm.
I want the kids to understand that playing in the NAL, and if we continue to bring in coaches like yourself, that we can create an NFL type experience. We don't have their budget. Don't get me
Correct.
wrong.
Correct.
But that doesn't mean we can't do all the right things.
And coach, with that being said, and like you and I talked a little bit yesterday, I want this league to grow.
Right.
I want to have more teams. I want to be competitive, just like you want to be competitive. We want to be like known as for an example, the New England Patriots or the
Too
Green Bay
late. We
Packers.
want to be like them.
See what? Yeah, we want to be where we are an organization where your kids, my kids, want to play for us,
Right.
want to play for the fans. I know you guys have a great fan base. I've been knowing fans. I just had we had a talk show last night, and fans from '91 are still backing us. And
I
coach,
get that. I get
Coach,
the
you know how it
Firebirds
is.
fans. The
Sure.
Firebirds fans are hey, I've had season tickets since, so I Herkie, I totally get that. My thing is, I guess my closing point on this part of it would be you can have a good life in this game, in the
Absolutely.
indoor game. And it's the problem is that I want this generation, not our generation, we would in the off season, I did landscaping. I laid sod in the
Right.
off season
Right. Sure.
because I thought it was physical and it could help me.
That's
Then
right.
go workouts and then do this. Some guys, now they're just playing and relying on our 4 months worth of salary to sustain them the whole year.
Right.
That's not what we are.
No. And
You
you
got to
know
be
what,
willing to
coach?
help yourself is my point. Right?
Absolutely. And if you're in a city like Albany or
Mhm.
Orlando and a fan base that we both have, there's a lot of businessmen, there's a lot of sponsors out there that would be like, hey, coach, what's that young man's name? I would like to invite him, to my office party. And next thing you know, you're creating relationships. What we're doing, or what I'm going to be doing, coach, down here is the guys that I've already signed, the guys that I'm going to be bringing into camp, once they make the team, I'm going to ask each one of them to let me know, hey, what is it that you would like to do? What is your passion? What is your skill set? And I'm going to try to match them up with business owners where, coach, at the end of the season, guess what they can do? Go right into their job.
Right.
And this is what's going to do. It's going to keep them here local. I don't know how many local players you have, but
We have a
it's
few.
great. Yeah, it's good to have local players, but it's also good to have players that when they leave, the skill sets that we give them, they could take them with them.
Yeah, I just, I know we both, being Christians, I pray every night for these kids,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
I just, keep them safe, let them keep making right decisions. And one of the things that I harp on all the time is, our good Lord just wants us not to be anything we're not, just be the best version of you. He created us. He knows what we're capable of.
Coach, you're going to be the best coach, Coach Menas, ever. Because God, when he created you, he broke the mold. There ain't going to be nobody else like
Purposely,
you.
He broke the mold.
Yeah.
He didn't want to make that mistake twice.
No, and the way, Coach, the way I like the way you coach, I know we're going to get into coaching philosophies and how you coach, I think you and I are probably alike. We're no nonsense.
Right.
This is the game. This is how the game is played. And that's it. When Coach Moss, when the legend, the Hall of Famer Coach Perry Moss told me, now you got to remember, I just retired from the NFL. He's going to tell me, he's going to teach me how to play the game in arena. He's going to teach me. Well, guess what? He taught me how to play the game. He helped me.
Yeah,
he helped me understand that there's different rules here. He told me, he says, listen, I know you fast. And we have a dig route, which we call it a 6 route. And he said, if you go across that field full speed, there's going to be something over there that's going to meet you. And he has the same last name you have. And it's called a wall. And
right.
It will not move. And
it's undefeated, right?
Yeah, it's undefeated.
Undefeated.
The wall, I like that. Can I use that, Coach?
You can. I've stole it so many times from other people. Please feel free.
The wall. I'm going to tell that to my receivers. The wall is undefeated. One or two things going to happen.
I'll tell you what, though. You know who you really got to tell it to is you got to tell your quarterbacks, because that's the one thing I always tell our quarterbacks is that the longer you hold the ball,
yes, sir,
he's either going to get covered or he's going to have to catch it making contact with the wall. Right. And that's what's, you can prevent some of those big bang receptions by just getting the ball out quicker.
Just getting it out. And here you're talking about quarterbacks. I'm looking forward to teaching and my receivers, because that's my baby. I'm letting my coaches coach. And what I loved about the conversation you and I had back here in Orlando for the coaches owners meeting is that, you let your coaches coach, and
100%.
that's a leader. And your philosophy and my philosophy as far as coaching is pretty much the same. I let my coaches know I retained a couple from the staff last year, but I also brought a few guys in on my own that I feel comfortable with. And I let every last one of them know, Coach, your job is to teach your position. That's your job. Teach them the game. And I'm huge.
Let's take that one step further, right? So, yes, it's your job to coach that position, right?
Right.
And then what I do is I make that coach accountable for the results of that coaching.
There you go.
I would, as a head coach and the general manager, I would rather have my coaches coach like you're saying. And then my primary job as the head coach should be coaching coaches, not coaching players.
There you go, Coach.
It should be coaching
coaches.
Right.
That's right. I had a conversation with Marcus
every day, right?
Yeah,
and we're always learning
every day, Coach. And I probably will be picking. I'm probably going to be picking your brain throughout the season.
Likewise.
And just because I think if we're competitive as coaches, it's just going to trickle down to our staff. It's going to trickle down to the players. And what we want, and I know you've done it, you want to put a great product on the field. So when the fans come, they're going to bring other fans and other friends say, hey, you got to come see this game.
Right. And, I said this at the owners' meetings. We're a small fraternity. Why we don't share insight on the game, how to make it better, how to make the league better, how to prevent injuries, how to make the fan experience better between coaches. I mean, right now there's only 8 of us in the United States that coach.
That's right.
Arena League football.
That's right.
Now, others
That's right.
coach indoor football, but there's only 8 of us out of 330 million people
That coach.
that coach
Yeah.
arena football.
And what's different to our game, and the majority of the fans that we know, they understand we have the nets.
This year,
That's
yes, sir.
that's going to separate us from indoor football leagues.
Well,
And
yeah, not only that, our rules are different. You know, I don't want to jump ahead, but we signed a quarterback yesterday. If you didn't see, we signed Vinny Testaverde Jr.
yeah,
And,
well, I think we talked about it yesterday. You know, I played with Vinny down in Tampa.
right, you played with his dad,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So the thing about it is that, you know, you bring in a quarterback and you say, okay, here's the new rules for one to a quarterback, but then here's the nets. And I'll tell you a quick story off beat. In Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay Storm, we were down, I think 17 points with, I want to say like 40 seconds left.
Yeah.
And we kicked off, went off the net, we recovered, touchdown.
Touchdown.
We kicked off, recovered off the net on like the 2, scored, had like 20 some odd seconds left. Kicked
Right.
off the net, recovered, kicked the field goal and won.
And won. And you know
Or
what?
tied, and then went into overtime. Sorry. But
That
I mean, that
happens.
was crazy. Oh, yeah. So
that
no
happens.
team is out.
No.
That's the thing. Now you're talking about 50-yard onside kicks.
That's right. That's right. You got to get down there, coach. What I'm looking for, and maybe you can help me out, I'm looking for some defensive guys that can get to that quarterback and can also block. You hear me?
Yeah.
They got to be able to block.
That's interesting that you say that because, yeah, we have some primary defensive guys, but what I look for is I look for offensive guys that can play defense.
Okay, I like that.
Because you know this, that our league is based on scoring.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. If we were playing in the outdoor field and you had a cornerback give up 3 touchdowns in a game, you'd probably cut them, trade them, or bench them. In our league, giving up 3 touchdowns in a game is kind of expected to a certain degree because the whole game is set up around the offense.
That's right. That's right.
We try to minimize that, of course, but you know, being real about it, it is an offensive game. So my philosophy has always been kind of opposite of what you just said, which is get great athletic offensive linemen, small hip, big chested guys,
great feet,
not obese or morbidly obese players that can condition and get ready and play both ways. And I think that was a great part of our success last year. In the 3rd and 4th quarter, we were just tough to beat because we were in such good shape.
And that's one thing, coach, that I think you're old school, I'm old school. You in this league, you have to be in shape.
Yeah, and I don't use conditioning as a form of discipline. I use conditioning as an opportunity to not get injured and be better. Yeah. So when we line up to do conditioning, our players by mid-season understand this is not punishment in any shape or form. This is so you don't get hurt, so you can play harder and longer, so you can be more athletic, so your fight or flight instincts don't kick in. You know, I got to be honest with you. The last time we played you guys at home, you played us really tough in the first half.
In the first half,
yeah,
and
then in the second half,
after that, coach,
we were running around you.
When I was watching the game, I was like, I see what happened. You know, I saw what happened. Guess what? Albany was in better shape.
Yeah,
they were just in better shape.
And there's a couple different things there. Yes, 100%. I think we're in better shape. But 2 is, at that point, we had learned how to win. Like I was explaining that. Vinny was on the phone with me while we were in the recruiting process in December, and I said, "You understand? We've never kicked the field goal." And he said, "What?" I said, "I've never kicked the field goal. It's 4th and 19. We're on our 5. We're going for it.
I'm going for it. Absolutely.
we're going for it. We're not going to kick a field goal on fourth down. We're going for
Right.
it. And in 2 years we
Mm-hmm.
haven't. And someone I guess can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm almost 99% sure we have not. And the reason for that is that we know how to win. And the expectation is we're gonna win. And the expectation is no game is out of reach. No, nothing's good. We're gonna win at the end of the game. And these guys are so
Right.
convinced of it. This family of players that we have are so convinced of it that they'll die for each other. I mean, to get to that ultimate
See,
goal.
that's the culture that I love about football. If you can
Right.
get a group of young men, we're not dealing with boys. We're dealing with young men, with
Right.
families, with kids that have another job. If we can get them to believe in each other and willing to go out and say, hey, look, man, I'm going to take care of my business. I'm going to make you better. Uh, that's what it's all about. And coach, down the road, when they retire, like I'm still friends with Barry Wagner and a lot of the guys that I played with. We're still friends because of that bond. And I'm even some of the guys I played with at the University of Texas, Houston Oilers, Tampa. We're still friends. It's because of that bond that you can only get playing football. And I
Oh,
think you know what I'm talking about.
100%, 100%. Okay, I want to move on a little bit. We kind of talked about our styles
Yes,
a
sir.
little
Yes,
bit.
sir.
Is there anything else you wanted to add to that?
Other than coach, I want to make sure that the young men that's going to be a part of not just arena football, National Arena League, Orlando Predators, but the whole entire league. We want to be men of integrity, where when they come see us, they're going to get a great product on the field. They're going to have young men that are a good, upstanding citizen. And so when they greet the fans will be like, "That's a nice guy." And that's one thing I'm going to definitely stress, coach, is that your character, uh, the way you play the game is the way I want you to play your game in life. I want you to work hard every day, do the best that you can. Don't cheat the game. That's how I would say it.
Well,
Don't cheat the game.
I want to piggyback that where you said don't cheat the game. So I have this thing. I tell this to the coaches and I tell it to the players in camp. But the coaches, we report about a week early.
Okay.
And we get going and we get busy and we've been working since the end of August, Zoom calls and
Yeah.
film,
Right.
recruiting and all that. But I tell them all the same thing to a certain degree, that if you're going to come to Albany to play football and you're going to be with us from, let's say, the middle of March until the beginning of
Till
August,
August. Yeah. Yeah.
okay? Any time that you don't spend on football, primarily the coaches, not so much the players, but the coaches, if you're not spending 100% of your time on football, you're cheating on your
You're
family.
cheating the game.
No,
Yeah.
you're
You're
cheating on
cheating.
you're
Yeah.
cheating on your family back home.
Right.
Because I want you to think about this. Our wives, our better halves, our partners, whatever they have in their life, their children, their grandchildren, and everybody makes this huge sacrifice so we can do what we do.
That's
And
correct.
they make
That
this
is
huge
correct.
sacrifice. So God love my wife, the best woman in the world. We live on this big piece of property out in the country, and I'm gone all summer. And she's on a tractor cutting the grass, or she's taking
Right.
care of
Right.
any chores that need to be done. And she's working a full-time job. And she's still on the
Yeah.
phone. And I love you. How's it going? Are you happy? Is everything great? You know,
Yeah.
she'll fly to home games. She'll come in and make sure I'm eating, and she'll send me care packages and she'll do all that.
Yeah.
So I go to work at 6 in the morning. Coach Ware and I primarily, we go to work at 6 in the morning and we usually get out of there. We get there when it's dark. We leave when it's well past dark.
And you know what,
That's our
coach,
cut, you know?
with all of that, um, that's wonderful. And you try to lead by example. And that's what you've been doing. That's something that the culture that I was used to, but I think the last couple of years they didn't do well. And I told him, I said, listen, a 3-9 record is not good enough. It
No,
will not be good enough for me. And I've let a lot of them that I've already signed. Just because we've signed you to an agreement, that does not mean that you're made the team.
no, it's every day is an audition for a coach, us, you and I,
Yep. Yep.
a player,
Every
uh,
day.
a guy who sells tickets.
Yeah.
Every day in professional sports is an audition. The
Yeah.
only difference is ours gets filmed and
Yeah.
lasts for infamy, right? So
Exactly.
you can have a bad second game of the season and recover and have the rest of the season be good.
Sure.
But that one bad game, your grandkids can watch it.
Sure they can. Sure they
It
can.
never goes away. So
Never
can
goes
you
away.
imagine if every job was like that in the world, right? Can you imagine
Wow.
if there was a camera on a guy selling cars all day long,
All day long.
and then at the end of the day, he got graded.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, he got graded.
Mm-hmm.
Performance,
Right.
standard of performance,
Yeah.
subpar, par,
Yeah.
excellent, whatever. You'd have more unemployed people
Sure you would.
in the
Because
world.
they're
So
because
our
some
job,
people.
I mean, our kids' job, the players' jobs is very, very hard.
Yeah.
Our coaches' jobs are very, very hard. But we're self-inflicting that. We self-impose that discipline. That's why I'm a big proponent for young people playing football, is because it teaches you how to self-impose discipline rather than other people having to discipline you. We have
And
very go ahead. I'm sorry.
one thing, coach, being an athlete, is that if you don't be self-motivated, it's going to be very hard for you to play this game. You have to want to work out. You have to want to study. You have to want to be able to get better every day. Just because, coach, man, you guys, we started off 8-0. That's great. But how are you going to be playing in late July, you know, early August? That's when you're going to be separate. And
Well, you're right.
yeah, like in the NFL, I don't care what you do in August and September. What are you doing in November, December, January, when the weather changes?
Yeah.
Injuries has happened. People are beat up. What kind of shape are you in then?
We signed Isaac James, a wide receiver, DB, out of the University of Indiana and Ball State. Exceptional athlete. Really excited to have him in camp. Jaheel Ellis, a center that I coached in Green Bay, who went on to play for the Philadelphia Soul. Unbelievable center. This kid is a game changer at center. And then, of course, we signed Vinny Testaverde Jr. Yesterday or day before yesterday, which is exciting since he started at Miami but finished his career at University of Albany. So,
yeah, you told me that. Coach,
yeah,
will you do me a huge favor? Will
yeah.
you give my number to Vinny Testaverde?
Oh, sure.
Tell him
So
to give me
you
a
get
call.
his
I'd love
dad?
to say hello to him.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Just tell him. I would love to just say hello to him.
I will for sure. And then I'm sure he'll be watching and reach out anyway. Yeah, Vinny's a cool story. I mean, dad, 21 years in the NFL, won the Heisman,
Oh yeah.
So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just hoping
Yeah.
some of that fruit fell in that same tree.
Oh, it will. It
Yeah.
will, coach. It
And
will.
then, of course, we signed back a personal favorite of mine, Dwayne Hollis, who's coming back for us this year.
Oh, good. Good.
Dwayne is not only a great player, but he's a coach on the field for sure. Any
That's
signings you
great.
want to talk about that you had recently?
Well, coach, right now we're really signing players that have experience
Right.
from other teams. We had the pleasure of signing Lonnie Outlaw, which
I know
I
Lonnie.
think he's been around the league a
Yeah.
long time. I've studied his film. We re-signed my son, Caleb Hercules Walls. This is his second year
Nice.
with the team. He loves this game. I'm looking forward to him to really gravitate. I mean, coach, he kind of watched me on film, and he was very, when I was in the front office. He would come to the game, so he loves the game. He loves the fans, and then Coach, we signed John Sheeton, a quarterback. He played with the IFL last year. Lives here in Tampa. He reached out to us, Coach. So we're looking forward to competing against you. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what week we play y'all, but I'm looking forward to coming to Albany. Do we play y'all there, or y'all come here?
Well, we got to do both, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when
Well,
you
Coach, do
come
me a
up,
favor.
we'll
Coach,
go get a big steak.
yeah,
Yeah.
when I come up to Albany, all I want you to do is just say, Herc, don't take it personal. No. I'm going to say, Coach, don't take it personal. What's about to happen? We're
So
still going to be friends.
You had that Freudian slip there, and that was probably accurate, actually. So we'll just leave that. All right. So hey, thanks so much for
Yes,
being
sir, Coach.
on. And I'm going to call you, and when you get out of your meeting, actually call me because I want to work. I want to work a trade with you today.
Wonderful. Okay, Coach.
So, but have a blessed day.
Hey, Albany fans, y'all have one of the best coaches, not only just in the NAL, but all of football. This young man loves what he does. I look up to him, and I've been checking him out. But Albany fans, don't take it personal when the Orlando Predators, led by Coach Herkie Walls, come up there and dominate.
Well.